You are listening to the Break Time Tech Talks podcast, a bite-sized tech podcast for busy developers, where we'll briefly cover technical topics, news snippets, and more in short time blocks. I'm your host, Jennifer Reif, an avid developer and problem solver with special interest in data, learning, and all things technology. I have been furiously working on a couple of main tasks this week, and there has been little time for much else. The weather here has actually started to feel like summer, so if you're experiencing the same, I hope you are able to stay cool and hydrate. I will catch you up on what's going on in my work days this week. Starting us off, it's been a while since I've talked about it, but our Neo4j Online Developer Conference is coming again this fall. It's called Nodes, and it's a free virtual developer conference that we run every year since 2019. This is a community and technical focused conference. So all of the content that is there is from community members. And really what we focus on is cool people doing cool things with graph technologies. I do definitely recommend registering. However, the thing that we're working on already, you might be wondering, hey, if it doesn't come until the fall, why are you talking about it? Well, right now we are in the midst of reviewing session abstracts that were submitted for the call for proposals. Basically, where speakers submit their sessions in order to have the opportunity to present at the event. And while I'm going through and reviewing all of these sessions, looking at the speakers' credentials, the abstracts they put together, the topics, the domains, the industries, and all sorts of interesting things on their backgrounds, I'm really impressed at the quality of the sessions this year. There were tons of sessions, and there are fewer slots this year. We had over 240 submissions. And one thing that is new this year that we've done in previous years is this year there are not going to be any lightning talks, which means that all these sessions are regular 30-minute sessions with a few workshops that will air before the actual event that day. I do honestly prefer the longer sessions. In fact, greater than 30 minutes is my personal preference because you can get a bit deeper technically on your use case, the domain, the actual technical solution. By the time you give some background on the use case, you chat about the technologies that are involved, the pitfalls and the things you overcame, and then show something, whether that's code or a demo or something else entirely, that 30 minutes really does go by fast, or at least it does for me. I'm super excited to work through a lot of these sessions. And like I said, I've been very impressed with the quality of them. I can't wait to see how we put all of this together into the final schedule to let our community learn from all these amazing people and interesting things that people are doing with graphs. I am also working on the Java book, as I have been for weeks and months now. I did get another chapter wrapped up and I started the next one. Now, the end of last week, I got just a little bit behind at the end of the week with some other things that were going on, but I was able to catch up early this week. And this is something that I've noticed. The schedule that I have set for myself and that I really need to keep up with in order to hit the deadline at the end of the summer is pretty aggressive, and it's very hard to get ahead of that schedule, and it's also difficult to catch up if I do end up falling behind. As long as I avoid falling too far behind, I should be able to stay on target and get everything in on time. So I'm just trying to maintain that and work as hard as I can to make sure I stay on top of that schedule and don't fall behind. I have several colleagues right now that are at the AI Engineer World's Fair in California this week. So it has been a relatively quiet week as far as communications and team interactions, which is okay. Again, I have several other things on my plate. I couldn't make it to the AI Engineer World's Fair this year, but I will hopefully be at one in the future. But if you happen to be there, definitely say hi to my team. There are several of my team there and lots of colleagues and other Neo4j folks too. So definitely stop by and say hi if you happen to be in the area. I also wanted to point out that Neo4j has launched a new Graph Academy site. The team has been working really hard on making sure that migration goes pretty smoothly. There are a few little bugs and strange migration gaps that they're still trying to work out and get corrected. But if you're not familiar, first of all, the Neo4j Graph Academy is where all of our free online and self-paced courses live for Neo4j. So anything you want to know about Neo4j and generally graphs and other integrations with Neo4j, it lives there. as a way to help you get up and running with the tools and technologies. Now, the Neo4j Graphic Academy site got a brand new look, plus it integrates a few more AI-forward features and some learning opportunities that the previous version couldn't handle. So I'm super excited about this. I definitely recommend you check it out. And let us know if you have thoughts or feedback. The team would definitely love to hear those, and I'm happy to pass those along too if you'd rather reach out to me. I did get in a little bit of some content reading this week, although not as much as I normally like to. But the one article that I read is called The Software Industrial Revolution by Andy Conan. And hopefully I pronounced that name correctly. This was a really interesting read. It's another one that is a little bit hopeful for this age of AI and software development. Now, this article does lament some of the things that we have lost, but it is hopeful for the future too, which is what I really enjoy about this. The article starts off with some history of the Industrial Revolution. In the particular case that the author talks about is making clothes. Most people owned fewer than a handful of outfits because clothing was slow and expensive to make, and many people made their own clothes at that point. When factories and machines started making them, people didn't get lazier overall. Sure, you probably had a few cases of that, but instead, most people consumed more clothing. They had more outfits. They purchased more. They needed larger wardrobes. Blacksmiths also, as another example, used to craft nails by hand. Now we would never think to construct our own nails for building entire neighborhoods or skyscrapers, but instead we manufacture those and we build more buildings. Software development was at a time very time and labor intensive, especially to do it well. It took a lot of crafting and study and effort to produce high quality software. And every industry and specialty under the sun now uses software, from construction to Wall Street to agriculture and so much more. So many of our products, even our everyday products, have software technologies in them. But software is expensive. As we consume more and more, and the cost of producing that software development, remains static or even increased, some less than ideal practices were used and abused. And the author talks about some of those. However, with AI, as the article points out, it opens the door to make software development incredibly inexpensive and available across the board. The author makes the case that this opens more doors for competitive advantage. It breaks apart some of those monopolies that we've been seeing for the last several years or decades. And it likely means that we will consume more software because it's now easier to do. Although we are still figuring out how to combat the uncertainty and the gaps that are left in this transition's wake, I hope the author is right and our future is actually brighter because of this. I liked the author's perspective on this particular little snippet that I will quote here. The old golden age is over and it ain't coming back. No more rest and vest, no more ping pong offsites and 5-star catered lunches. But a new golden age is coming. No more nights staring red-eyed at empty Stack Overflow issues. No more weeks of alignment meetings to ship a prototype. What I love about this is, yes, we are losing some really cool, fun, perhaps valuable things as we transition from one phase into the next. However, we are also getting rid of some things that were really painful or harmful or maybe just downright not fun, right? And we can still enjoy some of those transition pieces and the things that we are gaining in that. The final story also was a good reminder. It talks about how expensive software and healthcare systems contributes to overall rises in costs. Democratizing software in these industries could help reduce overall costs and improve experiences across the board. Will there be a tough adjustment? Yes, and I personally don't want to minimize that. However, we can hope that the pain right now produces better results on the other side, that it'll be worth the pain that we're going through now in order to get those better results and those better outcomes down the road. I'm continuing to drive towards progress on the book chapters as the summer marches on, and I've had varying degrees of feeling behind and on target. The Node's CFP is closed, so now our job is to review all the submissions and line up a solid conference schedule for the event. Then I read another hopeful article on software development in today's landscape, and I remain positive that we can come out better in the long run. As always, thanks for listening and happy coding.